Hey guys. So I thought tonight would be a cool topic to talk about hagstones, which are like also called Odin stones, adder stones, holy stones, fairy rings. And there are these basically, I don't know if you don't know what they are, which you probably do, or you wouldn't even be watching this video right now. They're naturally formed rocks that are a hole is created through them, usually by natural means, as in the force of water wearing through them over time. And what's really cool about them is that they're usually super rare. So people don't usually, they don't find them, you know, in, well, or just anywhere. However, I do. And I have been finding tons of them recently. And it's really bizarre. So, I mean, essentially, I had heard about when I was a little kid, we used to call these fairy rings. And you would find them every now and then if you went to like the river or something if you're camping. And I came across a few of them. But recently, I moved out to the country and I live near a creek, so that explains a lot. But I've been finding these everywhere. Like I find them on the little road going down to the creek. Sometimes I find them in the yard. And I find them by the stream all the time. And literally just like I probably by now have like 40 of them, like just a ton of them. So, the adder stones that are talked about in European countries come from supposedly the venom of the adder, which is a type of viper, dripping onto a stone somehow and creating a hole. And then other cases of it are they find these around oceans, oceanside beaches, rocky beaches, and they find them there. Other cases, they're found around streams, kind of like the ones I'm talking about that I've been finding. And there was something about, too, about the particular type of stone that these kinds of rocks are made from. Now, what's really interesting about this is that there's a lot of folklore about them. In some stories, most stories, they're like a positive thing. And they're good luck. People use them, they hang them on their doors or they hang them on the necks of animals. Basically, anything they want to protect from the evil eye or from black magic of some kind or hexes. And they'll put these hold stones. I'm going to call them hagstones from here on out. But they put them on anything they want to protect, a house, a child, a pet, things like that themselves. Wearing one was supposedly supposed to help against the evil eye. So much so that they were outlawed in Rome during situations where a person was in court because they were afraid that somehow the person was using some supernatural means, I guess, to have a verdict in their favor. So they were outlawed from being used. Now, I'm just kind of going from stuff that I've heard about, and I'm sure you guys could probably have heard quite a bit about it. When I started finding these stones everywhere around where I live, sorry, I kind of froze there. When I started finding these stones around the area that I live in, I got really curious because I was grabbing them all up. When I'd see one, I'd pick it up, I'd bring it home, and I'd just toss it in a windowsill. It's typically what I would do. I'd put it in a windowsill in my kitchen. And I was like, oh, surely, that'll help against negative influences from coming to it. I don't know, just something. People put seashells in their windows and things like that. I've heard all kinds of different things being used as type of talisman against negative influences. So when I started doing research about them, that's when I started to get a little more uneasy about it. So I probably shouldn't have even done any research, should have just went with it. But they kept coming. You know what I mean? I'll have to, I didn't bring them with me because they're all on my windowsill. Some are on the floor, just in random places, in drawers, just all over the house. So I'll bring them another time and show them all to you. Now, some people actually drill and make these holes in the rocks and sell them. And other people It's really strange. However, okay, so here's the point. I've heard that these stones have some certain rules about them in their folklore. One of them is that you can't sell them. Another one is that ones that are drilled and made by men, like by a human hand, have no magical capabilities, have no properties like this at all, can't protect you from anything. So let's go over it just real quick. Let's start at the beginning. You can't sell these. Sometimes I guess you're not supposed to really. You can't lose them. You can't throw them away or anything like that. I'm not even sure once you pick one up or like carry it around with you and kind of decide you're going to keep it that you're allowed to put it back. I've done that once recently because I was carrying it around. It was a really huge one and I had a hole through it. And I was carrying it around and I was like, I should put this back. I just didn't feel comfortable bringing it home because I was like, it's too much responsibility. Anyway, uh, so there's a bit to it. Now it's really weird because there are people online selling them all the time. So it's kind of strange. And I'm not sure. I mean, who knows? Now, typically they're seen as being a positive thing and that they're helpful for people. But I came across not very much about the idea that they're not, that they're a curse of sorts, basically. And this is where it gets a little weird with them. Um, of course, minerals, if anyone's interested or into minerals, they all have their different theories about them. I have none. I have no major theories about minerals, like rocks or crystals or anything like that. I have read a lot about them and I know a lot about them, but I don't hold to a particular, I guess I probably do have a theory about it, that it's in my own opinion type of thing. But these hagstones. So here's what I'm getting at. I had a personally strange experience with them. So I decided I was going to wear one. So I took this particular one that I found. I kind of liked the shape of it. I put some yarn through it and I put it on and I started wearing it, sleeping with it on too. So, just to protect against any kind of, negative spirits or entities or anything like that. So, I'm wearing the rock and I'm sleeping with the rock on and everything. And it wasn't small. It was like probably about that big, probably about that big with a nice water pushed hole in it. And I noticed the weight of the rock and that kind of thing. But over probably about a day or so, I couldn't tell I was wearing it. It didn't really feel heavy like it did the first time I put it on. I had gotten comfortable, gotten used to it. Sleeping with it was a little different. I would notice it, because it was a big clunky rock you're sleeping with around your neck. Then I started having dreams while I was wearing them, and I had two dreams. So the first dream I had was really creepy. So what happened was in the dream, I'm in a field, and there were all these people. Oh, it froze. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Anyway, there were all these people. I don't have great internet because I live out in the middle of nowhere. But there were all these people sleeping out in this field. They were piled on top of each other, bodies on top of each other, all sleeping. Very fitful sleeping, too. These people were like tossing and turning, and they were obviously not sleeping comfortably. And I noticed I was just the only person that was walking around in my dream. I was like walking around, like, I woke up in my dream or something and I was walking around this field. And then I saw this kind of like a woman from a distance. And she was like kind of hunched over. No, I had three dreams. So hang on a minute. She was kind of, so I should go back. I should go back. I should go back. Okay, the first dream I had was that I was at the creek itself. I was at the stream. Now, I didn't find this rock at the stream. I found this rock basically in my yard. And in the dream, I was down at the stream and I saw across the creek this looked like a woman. There's a woman in each one of these dreams. Basically the same one. Looked kind of a little different both times. And then the third one, not at all. Looked totally, totally freakish. So I see this what looks like a like a kind of emaciated and hunched over and kind of creeping around the creek rocks and stuff. And she was looking at me, and I was looking at her too. And then I realized that she was like trying to see, I felt like in the dream she was trying to see if I could see her or not, or something. Like she was like acting like she was hiding or something, but I could see her just fine, and she was looking right at me. And anyway, that was the dream. Not that big of a deal. Now the second dream, which was where I'm gonna pick up right where I left off. So I'm walking around the bodies, and the people are all sleeping, and they're kicking and moving around in their sleep and stuff. And then I see that woman across the field of the bodies and everything, of sleeping bodies, and she's creeping amongst the people that are sleeping. And she's looking at me and everything. At that same time, like I got freaked out and I run and I start running. And there was suddenly a set of stairs. So I ran up these stairs and I realized as I was running up that it was like an attic. Basically, like, you know, those attics that you pull down like you pull a cord and it pulls a fold out ladder and you can climb up and then you can pull it up behind you. Basically, like that. So I'm climbing up this like stairway slash ladder and I get up into the attic and I run to a corner. Well, then suddenly this dog, not one of my own dogs, because I have a bunch of dogs, but this dog just randomly runs up behind me and runs up the stairs too. And I'm like, oh no, you know. And it's running around, and you know how dogs are, like on wooden floors and you know their claws and stuff like that. Anyway, so he was making noise, and I was like, shh, you know, be quiet, because I was all scared about this woman thing. And then suddenly the attic floor door thing just slammed shut. It just slammed shut, like she slammed it shut, locking me up in the attic. And I was like, oh my God, you know. Anyway, that's the end of that dream. Then, you know, okay, so I woke up from it. I was all stressed out and everything. And I began to wonder at this point, like, I was like, I wonder if it's got something to do with the rock I'm wearing, you know. And I wondered too if it was just my subconscious being uneasy because I was doing something weird. Because I was doing something weird by just wearing this rock to bed, which was kind of an out of the ordinary thing to do. I don't usually do that, you know. So so in the middle of the night, from that last dream where there was the field and the bodies and all that, you know, I got up and I was just up the rest of the day. It actually bothered me quite a bit. Then the next night, I didn't have a dream. And then, like, the night after that, I did. And this dream, I woke up, like, okay, so I had the hagstone. And I went and laid down. I got up. I took it off and, like, dropped it on the floor. Went to the kitchen. Got myself a drink of water or whatever. And then was like, go to bed, you know. So I went back to bed. And I picked the stone up and put it back on. And you're probably thinking like, why'd you put it back on? You know. But I was like, go forward with it, you know? Go forth. Who cares if it was terrifying? Just go and see, right? Because I felt at this point that this stone is like a portal to another, you know, psychic reality or something like that. Not like a psychic reality, but like some kind of dream thing. Like it's somehow helping me to access my subconscious or something. So this was the worst one ever. So okay. So I have I'm sleeping and this is what happens. Like in the dream, I just got up and I walked into the kitchen and I walked by the stove, which faces the back door basically. And I was looking out, I just turned around and looked out the back door. And the back door, the way my house is, the door to the kitchen opens up to the laundry room and then directly out to the outside door off the porch. So it's basically a two-door thing going on right there. The door is open to the kitchen and the door is open to the outside in the laundry room. And when I look, there's this thing standing on my porch like a bear. Like the way that a bear is up on all fours, if that makes sense. It's like, but it would look like a human, kind of, standing like a bear. and its head was looking at me all creepy. And it had the face, a distorted version of the face of a family member of mine. I'm not going to say who. And it was just standing there with one foot just slightly in the laundry room and one on the porch. And I like woke up, sat up in bed, and was all freaked out. Like really freaked out. And then I stopped wearing the stone at that point and was really weirded out by it. Now I'm not saying the rock gave me these dreams or anything like that. I'm just saying, the one thing that I noticed was while I was wearing the stone that I began having weird dreams. And another thing I've noticed about these stones is that, and I'm happy that I find them all the time. That's really cool and everything. I don't know if there's just a ton of them out here. So, because I come across them all the time. And I'll show them to you because I have so many of them. And I'm fine with that. In fact, I think it's really cool. I'm glad that I'm finding all of these, and I hope I keep finding them. And when I find them, if I decide to, I pick them up and I put them in my pocket. Sometimes I usually come home with like 4 of them. 4, 5, 3, 3, 4, 5 of them. And I wanted to bring it up because when I was doing research about these, I just wanted to bring it up and talk about my own personal experience with them. Now, I've heard you can do all kinds of things with these stones. And I'm not going to go into that because this is not a channel about doing magic or anything like that, or witchcraft or anything like that. But I still think that they probably have good properties. At this point, I think that some are positive and good, and just like anything else, or neutral. There's possibility they're just neutral and there's nothing to it at all. But I think just from my perspective, they can help to protect you, I think, in a way, from certain types of influences. And I think they also, too, can help in helping you to access deeper subconscious levels. But see, it also got me thinking about the concepts of earth spirits or something like that could easily connect to one of these stones and come home with you, in effect, and be a way that you can bring it into your home. So I think that anytime you're taking anything out of nature, you're kind of running a risk. And I have another story about that I'll do next time about the Tengu. But I don't think what I saw was exactly a Tengu, because that's a Japanese folklore creature. But hit froze again. But a mountain spirit. And the thing is that it's possible that I think I did encounter a mountain spirit, not unlike a Tengu from Japanese folklore, right here where I live. And I think I'll bring it up and talk about that on another video. But that story has to come with taking stuff out of a cedar grove. So it's really bizarre, but I think that these nature spirits and this fairy realm thing ties intrinsically, at least into my experiences, and has for me been something that's going on. And I think that the fairy realm, actually, the more I look into it, not to say it so lightly, but the more I look into it, the more I think it explains so much of my personal experiences, of which I've had many. And that's why I actually kind of made this channel, was just kind of talk about those and share my experiences. I want to hear back I'm starting a dialogue. I mean, you guys feel free to not like or not do anything, or subscribe or don't, or comment or agree or disagree, whatever. Add to it. Tell me something I don't, tell me something I didn't think of, or whatever. There's a ton of folklore about the hagstones, but you can find that online, and there's tons of it. So that's why, I could tell more about it, but maybe another time, I guess. And no, probably not. I'll probably just talk about my personal experience I had with the hagstones, and it might come up again sometime. And if you guys find one of these rocks that has a hole through it, I guess born through water. Now, it's weird though, too. One last thing. I've found some that look like they've been intentionally made. Like 2. that are really bizarre and have like a perfect circle somehow, which is impossible. It's absolutely impossible unless a person had made it, you know? So I have like 2 that are like that, but I have like 30 that have like a smaller hole that wears into like a bigger hole, like, you know, because it's natural. It's a natural stone. I have some that are like, well, it's like it goes like this and then goes back up like that. So it's that way, you know, these aren't like, you know, whatever. But I have, and also too, they're like $11 a piece online. So it's not like I bought like 50 of them or anything, you know, because that'd just be ridiculous. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and uh, thanks for hanging out and listening. Have a good night.